Hello, and we're back for another season of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. It has been a little while. I mean, we're talking, what, 2.5 months now, I believe, since our last podcast. And we're back again. We had to take some time off. Um, it's it's been an interesting time, but we're coming up on Thanksgiving. We're coming up on Christmas holiday. We're coming up on all the fun stuff that's coming up, and it's been awesome. Been very awesome. As always, we are sponsored by Soul Sunshine. Be sure to visit us at soulsunshine.com. If you are an author out there and you want to get your books published, you want to fulfill your dreams, check us out, soulsunshine.com. Susan, how are you?
Stephen, I can't believe so much time has gone by. And I can't believe
I
that
know,
2024 is almost gone.
I know. I know it's already November. I mean, next week is Thanksgiving. We
Yeah.
are we're coming to the end of the year, and of course, everything's going to go as quickly as possible. So, man,
Yeah. Things are just going to speed up until we'll be in the middle of January and we'll be having this conversation again saying, wow, I can't believe 2024 is already over.
so true, so true. Time is flying by so fast, but time is funny because other times 3 days seems like a month.
Yeah,
like,
that can happen
like,
too.
like
Yeah,
that
if you're
was
waiting for
Thursday.
something exciting, or if you're waiting, dreading something, or you're looking forward to something, then it
So
drags.
true. So very true. Well, I am looking forward to our first guest of the new season. Her name is Lauren Jurkas, and she is a contributing author to a few books. So, without further ado, let's bring her on stage. Lauren,
Hi,
Hi,
Lauren.
hi, Susan. Thank you for having
how
me.
are you? You're most certainly very welcome. Welcome to
I'm
our
doing well.
podcast. You are a special guest today, Lauren Jurkas. Now, did I pronounce that correct? Jurkas?
You did. Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to take some credit for that one. I studied for a little while, thinking maybe it's that argument whether it's a GIF or a GIF, but yeah, we went with the Jerkus and good for it.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lauren. We put it out there that um, what you sent for us, but go ahead and in your own words, tell us about yourself.
I'm originally from Chicago, and 5 years ago I moved to Fort Myers, Florida. So I'm coming to you from Florida right now. Um, I've been married to my husband Tony for 47 years.
Nice.
Yes,
Wow.
and yeah, I know it's a lot. um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a great ride with him. Um, I'm very, very fortunate that we chose each other because all I ever wanted to do was be a mom in life and a loving wife. And we had two boys. My oldest one was Tony, and my younger one is Casey. Casey is 38. Casey lives in Colorado.
Nice.
And my older son, Tony, he's no longer with us. He took his life at the age of 23 in
Oh,
2006. So that definitely changed my purpose in life. Um, I spiraled beyond words. I in Chicago, I met a wonderful group of women, and I met with them quite often. They were like things like law of attraction. They were faith based, but everyone didn't have strong faith. They were just faith based. I learned a lot in that group. And that's where I met the lead author of the first book that I co-authored, the Confessions book.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me to share my story, which I'll share with you in a little bit. So I did that. I had no intention of doing that. What I've learned really in my life is that we can make all the plans we want with anyone we want for our career, for our future, family, everything. And we really have no say so. We can only live our best life. Things don't turn out like we think they're going to, or like we hope they're going to. And you just have to learn to adapt and pretty much deal with whatever new normal you have to deal with, whether it's, you know, a disease or divorce or financial or loss. So that's the lesson I learned back then. And I became agoraphobic. I had lived in the suburbs of Chicago, and we purchased a condo downtown Chicago, pre-construction, before my son died. And then he died. And then when we moved in, I knew I was going to meet all new people, and I didn't want to meet anyone new. Because you know what the questions are. You know, what do you do for a living? Are you married? Do you have children? How long have you been married? Da, 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 da. And I was like, I can't do that right now. So agoraphobic stays in their comfort place, because they can't deal with the conversations and large crowd and all of that when they go through something.
Right.
So that's what I did. And then God said to me, no, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to get out of your condo. And I ended up, my career was food and beverage management. And then I stopped that because it was so many hours after I lost my son. I was like, okay, I'm not working this many hours anymore. And then I did Mary Kay. I became a Mary Kay consultant because God was saying, I'm going to get you out of your condo one way or another. So I had to go to the suburbs and do appointments and makeovers and consultations. And God told me, he said, Lori, this isn't about you. So stop thinking it is. It's to help other people. And while you're helping other people, that will help you heal as well. I said, okay. So that's what I did. So I've been doing that for over 10 years.
Nice.
Yeah, it has been nice. I've met wonderful people. Mary Kay is God first, family second, career third. And they really do live by that. And that's pretty much my motto as well. So then when I moved to Florida, I met a lot of new people, wonderful people. And I connected with a Bible study down here, and we would go to like Christian concerts. And I met this one girl at this Christian concert. And she was going on and on and on about all the hard luck she had had in her life in Colorado. And she just went on and on and on and on. And she didn't like Florida, and she didn't like Naples, and she didn't like this, and she didn't like that. And I just listened and listened and listened. I didn't know her, but she was a part of this, big group. And finally, we're at a Christian concert, and we're thanking God for everything, and we're praising God. And then finally we're walking out, and I said, I couldn't take it anymore. And I said, I lost my son to suicide when he was 23. And that's exactly how I said it, because I just couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. I wanted to say, yes, you have, yes, you're hurting, yes, but you also have to open your heart to other people. So that's what happened. So lo and behold, she knew someone from Colorado that was going to give us a book. She was going to be the lead author of a book. And when I shared my story with her, she said, Lori, I really want to connect you with this person. And I said, I've done this before. I'm really not interested. Long story short, she said she will interview you and, you know, you can share your story, this and that. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. And I put her off and put the lead author. Her name was Genesis Gomez. And a lot of these women, there's 14 other co-authors of our book, and a lot of them are beauty pageant queens. Their resumes would blow your mind, not just from beauty, but the intelligence and the travel and the experiences. And so when she interviewed me, I happened to be in Key West at the time, and she interviewed me, and I just listened, but I really wasn't going to do it. And I said, well, what are you going to call the book? And she said, Reigning Resilient Queens. And I had chills. And I said, well, you know, Genesis, I love your story. I love what you're sharing. I think this will benefit so many people across the world. I said, but I'm the kind of person that I really need to pray on it. So that's what I did. I prayed. And then, then God said, Lori, it's your time. And I said, no, it's not. And he said, yes, it is. And I said, no, it's not. I don't want to. He said, that's too bad. So I did. I committed to it. And that was over a year ago. And we launched it on October 23rd. And the stories are so compelling in this book. There's a chapter for everyone in this book, whether you know, like I said earlier, whether you've dealt with disease, with divorce, loss, mental illness, just anything, just feeling alone, childhood trauma. I could go on and on. I read the manuscript before the book was launched, and I was like, this is incredible. This is going to touch so many lives. And so that's how I became a co-author. But a funny story is we would do our Zoom meetings, and when I first started, and I'm being introduced to all these incredible women, you know, Genesis would introduce us one at a time, and we'd have to tell something about ourselves. And I mean, after they're telling their resume and what their life is all about, here's me. I'm a mom. I was in food and beverage. That's about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like I measured up.
Yeah. Genesis is an amazing individual. She has this way of bringing out the best in people. She has this way of finding people that need to be found. She is very powerful in what she's doing. And just out of curiosity, who was the one that introduced you to Genesis?
Actually, she's ended up backing out of the book. So Genesis and I say we're very grateful that I met her to meet Genesis.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So your chapter in Rating Resilient Queens is about dealing with the emotions of suicide. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And had you written, because I've read the Rating Resilient Queens, and it was very emotional. It was very powerful. I have not read your other book, so we'll get to that one momentarily. But in this one, did it feel like you talk about it so easily right now, and I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but in time, being able to heal through it and being able to push through it and talk about it and write about it, did it help healing anymore with this particular chapter in the Reigning Resilient Queens?
It totally did. It totally did. But I will be very honest with you. My cousin lives in the same community I live in, and she was like a second mother to my boys. And Thanksgiving is coming up, right? Now it's been 18 years, And she said, Lori, we would love to have you over for Thanksgiving dinner, she and her husband. And I told her, I said, I know my husband would love to come over and eat your food for sure. I said, but I never know until the morning of Thanksgiving how I'm going to feel. And I'll explain what that means too in a minute. So I said, I would much rather do something that's not family oriented. I would rather go golfing. I would rather go to Top Golf. I would rather do anything that's just not focused on family. Because when I lost my son to suicide, my other son was 18 years old. And in time, he worked in Chicago. He was a diesel mechanic, my second son, Casey. And in time, he got into opioids after he lost his only sibling. So my holidays haven't been great for many, many years. And I just make them the best I can actually for myself now. It used to be for my family, but now it's for me. Because God told me, and it's in my chapter, God told me, he said, Lori, this isn't about you. This is about helping your family through this. And I was like, great, here we go again, you know. But I am a strong woman, and I get that from my mom. My mom was very, very strong and very, very, I was born and raised Catholic. She didn't ever she didn't pound that into me, but she always had a missalette or a Bible or something next to her lazy boy, but she never talked about it. That was her privacy. That was her faith. And she would say the rosary all the time, but she never forced us. So I was born and raised Catholic, and then I left the Catholicism because I felt like I just couldn't measure up to all the rules. So now I do non-denominational. But my faith is absolutely what carried me through, because the night that we found out my son died, a lot of people came over that night. And then I think I laid my head on the pillow probably about 3 or 4 in the morning. And I said to God, I said, you know, Tony always took care of all the college kids because he always had the money because he was in the trades. So he would always bring, you know, steaks and music and booze and beer and to all his college friends from high school. Every weekend he would do that. And I knew he had been with some of them the week before, and I didn't want anybody to think, what did I miss? It was my fault. I didn't catch something. So when I laid my head on the pillow, I said, dear God, I need a theme for Tony's service, because I can't let his brother or any of his friends blame themselves. So I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and 3 words were in my head, and the words were, let it be. And I had forgotten. I asked God for words for this theme. I had totally forgotten. And I'm like, let it be. What's going on in my head right now? Am I like losing my mind? And then I remembered, oh yeah, I asked God to give me a theme. And he said, Lori, you've just got to let it be. It's no one's fault. You just have to let it be. And so that was the theme. And so, go ahead.
Beatles song.
Yes.
That makes me think of the Beatles song, Let It Be.
Yes. And it's words of wisdom. Absolutely. But the funny thing was, Stephen, that my son was not a Beatles fan. He was a Dave Matthews, Rolling Stones, you know, that was that generation.
Gotcha.
So that's why I was so puzzled. But anyway, so that's how Let It Be was, I don't know what you want to call it, but it was birthed for our
An
family.
epiphany.
It's
An
our
epiphany. I love it. I love it. So when it comes with you and your relationship with God, is it mended? Is it still a little um, strenuous? I know with me personally, I also grew up Catholic,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I had a very strenuous relationship with God growing up on throughout my life on everything. And there were moments of doubt, and there were moments of just pure angst and anger towards God. And I think every Catholic on the planet has gone through that at some point in time in their life, and questioning it. Um, and it took me hitting rock bottom to actually come back to God on
Did it?
things. And it's been a journey ever since. And I'm interested to hear if you reached that point where you were angry and bitter and upset and questioning to get back to a good place with God.
Well, it's going to surprise you. I mean, it surprised my family as well. I was never mad at God. I was never mad at God. This is how I looked at it. There was when you have a suicide or a death by suicide, they have a detective that has to, go out and question whoever they were with and all of this. And I talked to the detective and he said, Lori, I'm going to tell you something. Out of everyone I interviewed, his girlfriend of 2 years, blah, 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 blah. All the high school friends he was with, he said there was not one sign that Tony was going to take his life. Not one. So in my heart and in my soul and in my brain, I told myself, God took Tony. This is what I believe. God took Tony and he must have been in some kind of pain, which I didn't really understand all this, but God knew. And I thought to myself, what if he had committed suicide and hurt someone at the same time? Like a car accident or, something like that. So I was grateful that I didn't have to deal with that because there's parents that deal with that. There's parents who
Right.
deal with losing 2 children. And, excuse me, when I was in Illinois, I helped launch, it's called the Compassionate Friends. And that's for anyone who has lost a child, a grandchild, or a sibling. So I've met, and I also fundraised for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So I have met so many people who have lost their children. So many people for, drug overdose, murder. I could go on and on. So in a way, I'm kind of at peace, not for my other son. I'm not. He's off opioids. He's been opioid free for 7 years, but he still doesn't have a brother, and he was his mentor. But I am at peace with God.
That's wonderful to hear. It's really wonderful to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is definitely something hard as a parent to go through. Um, we as parents aren't supposed to outlive our children, so when something like that happens, it's a tragedy, and we don't know how to take it. So I appreciate your candor, I appreciate your kindness, and I appreciate your strength to get through it and really push forward. And as we call here, we call it shine.
I love that.
Um,
I love that.
so you're shining and you're taking your experience and you're helping other people who are going through something similar, which takes me to my next question for you. And confessions, from what I've read about confessions on there, it is a book that you needed to write as well. Is that correct?
I would say yes. It's not in as much detail. It's a much shorter book, but I do feel that I did need to do it. Yeah.
Mm, what compels you to write to that write your part in that book?
Well, I was asked again to share my story, because we know everyone has a story. The only thing with that book is the editor changed some things that I wish they wouldn't have changed because it wasn't my authentic wording, some of it. And I even talked to Genesis before I agreed to do this. I said, I really don't want my story changed because it's the truth. And so I felt very comfortable doing this second book with Genesis. And Amy also helped us so much, Amy Collette.
Hmm.
She's amazing too. So I felt like I was in good hands.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, Aside from God, who are your influences?
Well, a lot of it is religious, like Mother Teresa. Um, I'm drawing a blank right now. I have several, but my mind has been in so many different directions right now, probably because of the holidays. I'm not
Yeah.
thinking clearly. But I do. I have several, male and female. Genesis is one of my new ones, to be honest. Yeah,
Genesis is definitely very influential.
yeah.
Um,
And I flew
well,
out to Colorado.
yeah, I was there. I was there for the
Mhm.
release party. Do you remember seeing me there?
No, I did. No, I did. I wasn't there for that. I flew
You
out
were
for a
on you.
photo shoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in
Okay.
June. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Genesis is absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
Um, Going through tragedy. I mean, everything you've been through. I'm sure people came up to you and gave you advice right and left and saying, do this, don't do that, or feel this, don't feel that, or the- all of this, everything coming at you because in a lot of ways people don't know how to deal with it themselves, so they don't know how to offer kindly advice.
Hmm.
But of all the advice you received, what's the best advice that you received?
I received advice from my mom before she died, which she died before she lost her grandson, Tony. And she told me when I was younger, she said, Lori, one thing you have to understand, and she was very smart. She had a very high IQ. She said, don't ever think that you will always have the answer to every question in life because you won't. So don't search for it. And I think that benefited me so much because over the years, of course, I can reflect back on my son's death and say, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could, when you had time to heal and you're a
Hmm.
little less emotional, you can
Hmm.
process better.
Hmm.
And I just finally, I've told people, I can't ask that question. I would lose my mind because I would never really get the truthful answer.
Right.
It'd be a speculation or an assumption.
Hmm.
So
Well,
the
even
family,
the wouldas, the couldas, the shouldas, they're all not good because they will put you into a position where you're never going to get the answer for it.
and then you're
And you can
stuck.
speculate all you want, but it's always going to be a would have, could have, should have.
Yes. And I remember my son when he was about 20, my younger son, Casey, he used to say to me, Mom, I can't handle people telling me, oh, I know what you went through. I just lost my grandma. That used to make him livid. And I said, I understand, Case, but they don't understand. They've never lived
Right.
it.
Right.
Their pain is their pain. Your pain is your pain.
Right. And we all experience pain in different ways, in different degrees, and different levels. We all try to mask that pain differently. Um, some people go into, drinking and drugs and um, just bad routes, I guess, while other people look more spiritually and try and take that path. And some bottle it up. I mean, we all deal with pain completely different, and it definitely is a process that we all go through when it comes to pain and comes to losing somebody.
Yes, and I've learned over the years, it took me a little while, I learned that men and women grieve very differently. Like when my husband lost his son, we had a business and he just threw himself 150%, and he's a workaholic anyway, but he just had to escape. And that's what
Mm.
he did, where I had to step back and take care of the family emotionally.
We men tend to do that. just
And that's
put
okay.
ourselves into tasks.
That's okay. It's survival mode.
So, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the best advice you'd receive from mom. Through all your years, through all you've done, through all your teachings, through all your learnings, through all of everything. What is the best advice you can give?
Um, I think now I'm around a lot of different age people. I'm around a lot of younger people and older people and people who believe in God and people who don't believe in God and all kinds of people where I live. And I think the most important thing I could think of is two. One is know your boundaries and don't let people cross your boundaries.
Mm, great one.
And number two is know your deserve level and never discount yourself for anyone. That's pretty much it.
You're breaking up a little bit on that.
Excuse me.
No worries. You broke up a little bit on that one. So I heard your first one about knowing your boundaries and not letting people cross them. But you broke
Okay.
up on the second one. So give us the second one again.
The second one is know your deserve level, live your deserve level, and don't let anyone discount you.
That's nice. So going into that one a little bit more on a personal nature, what is your deserve level?
I'm sorry, I just got back from
No
Key
need to
West.
apologize. No need to apologize.
um, my deserve level is I do what I want. I try to stay humble. I pray every day. I lift others up in prayer. And what else would I say? I think that's kind of it. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. I mean, um, insecurities, I don't often know what I deserve, so I
You don't.
tend to go onto the negative side of things. But um, I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm
Good.
getting
I
past
hope
certain
you
things,
do.
and you meet some
Too many
incredible
people
people
live in
along your journey.
that.
So very true. So very, very true. Um, Genesis actually had a huge hand in helping form that. And of course, my best friend above me here, Susan, she found me when I was at rock bottom,
Oh,
man.
I
When
love that, Susan.
I was in a very, very, very bad place, and um, a lot like you. Just tell me your story. Is how she came at me. Just tell me your story,
Yeah.
and
And
opened up,
just to let
cried.
not alone.
I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
She kind of um, opened the door, let some warmth in, um, fulfill a dream,
Yeah,
and
it was God. God did it, of course.
Yeah.
And he orchestrated this in an interesting way, in having Stephen write a book, children's book, and he wrote it in an hour. And
Oh,
he did it when he was living in his car.
okay.
And he ended up also illustrating it. And so, me as a book publisher, I'm really interested in that whole idea and in publishing that book. So, that was the way God got me hooked.
Wow. That was
yes,
all part of
and
your purpose.
Hmm.
it
And it was
was.
both of your purposes.
Yes, yes, it really was.
Huh?
It was. We went from not knowing each other, being in we could be in opposite sides of the world. I mean, but the internet brings us together.
How did you?
And so my story basically is I lost my dad in 2020. I lost my
Okay.
mom in 2021. My marriage fell apart in 2022. And I was homeless. I was living in my car. And I didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, I did some things to try and take my own life, but I woke up and I heard a voice say, "Not yet." And I could swear it was my mom.
Oh,
And I
wow.
wrote, Curiosity and encouragement changed the world. And when I wrote it, I looked at it and I was like, there's something here. And I went to publishers. And the first publisher was like, we love it. We want to publish it, but it's going to cost you $5,000. And I said, I don't have $5,000. I'm living in the car. Okay, we'll try again. And another publisher came and said, we love it. We want to publish it. We'll do it for $1,500. And I was like, I don't have $1,500. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll try and self-publish. And, I could have been reading Roman Sanskrit at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. So Susan reached out to me on Messenger and she just said, tell me your story. And I shared her the story and we started talking and she loved it and made me feel good about the way it was written. And she did some edits on it. And then I started drawing it and she helped me. She sent me some money. I got a hotel room, was able to get some food, was able to take a shower, was able to feel better
Human.
about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, human, exactly. And we have talked every day since. We've published two books, two of the Curiosity Encouragement books. I learned an entirely new um, work. I never did digital marketing before, but learned how to do digital marketing.
Hmm.
Then one day, July, I believe it was, we said, let's do a podcast.
I love this.
And we built a whole podcast together and we learned how to do it. We learned how to do the overlays and we learned how to find guests and we learned how to do all of this stuff together. And now we're in our second season of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement. We've met some amazing people. We've published quite a few books and we've
I saw
built
your
and grown.
illustration, some of them. They're impressive.
Thank you. the, I'm finishing up the third book right now and hopefully we can get that out here in the next couple of weeks. And
Good.
a lot going on down the track, right, Susan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are really cute illustrations. Um,
They are.
you really got a knack for drawing cats and their expressions on their faces.
Hmm.
They just come alive.
And you were saved because of this.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And
Was absolutely safe.
one funny thing about it was his story, curiosity and encouragement. At the time, I had a really good friend, and who, as soon as I read this story that Stephen wrote, reminded me of this friend and me. It's like, okay, I was curiosity and he was encouragement. I mean, the personality just fit us, and I that was what I think God used to draw me in, and to be so interested in publishing his book, because it was like God is pointing him out to me, in shining light. This is somebody that you need to work with. That was kind of my indication that this was something special.
It's so good. It's so good. I was watching a Sunday service today, and they were talking about, someone had gone to prison, okay, but, and then got out of prison, found God, all of that. But God already had that purpose for that person long before that person went to prison. And we don't realize that. We think we learn it all the time, and it's really not true. He already has the plan. We just have to go through life and learn some lessons along the way. But just like you, Stephen, he already had the plan that you were going to be an author. There was no doubt. And that you were going to touch other people's lives. There's no doubt. Right, Susan?
Yes, that's definitely true. The same thing with me. Me falling into the occupation of book publisher. I mean, I've been interested in books since I was, in kindergarten, and living at the library, and hauling library books home all the time, and so that's been always been a love of mine, and so it's amazing when you see God work in your life in that way, that He starts showing you things that He's had planned, you had no idea of, but He shows you where you belong and what you should be doing.
Yeah. So how did you get into that, Susan?
Susan wrote a memoir,
Okay.
and it was a very intense memoir from a very intense time in her life. And she, go ahead, Susan, you tell the story better than I do.
Yeah, it was the loss of a child for me too, but not anything like the loss that you experienced. The loss for me was temporary. It was only 3 years, but it was surrounded with a lot of trauma because the Department of Social Services took my daughter away,
Oh, God.
and I didn't get her back for 3 years. They accused my husband of molesting her, and we went through really a just horrible, horrible, traumatic time. I got to the point where I tried to kill myself too. And I would have been very effective if I had only thought to drink water instead of a wine cooler. The wine cooler made me vomit the pills that I had
Oh
taken.
my
Somebody said, "Well, you messed up there." Not on purpose. I thought, alcohol intensifies the effects of drugs,
Right.
right?
Right.
But anyway, God had no desire for me to be dead. He wanted me to be alive. Um, and our whole situation. My husband was facing 16 years in prison for this false accusation, and it was they just became more and more angry. The system did, the people in the system, more and more angry at us because
Absolutely.
we didn't say, yeah, it's true. We will go along with it. And yeah, you can have custody of my daughter, and I'll let you interfere in my life. And, so it was a battle. It enraged me. It awakened the mother tiger in me,
Yeah.
and I fought back.
Yes.
So
How
that's
long
what my
ago
memoir
was
is about. That was in the 80s,
that? Okay.
1986. February 12th, 1986 was the day they took her. And had just turned 9 years old. Yeah,
You poor mama.
yeah, yep. But, so of course I can sympathize with you, but I have no idea how much horribler it would have been, to lose a child through suicide. That's something that you just
Losing
can't
your
even
child to
imagine.
anything, even like people lose their children to prison or
Hmm.
drugs, or
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
like it's like a death.
Yeah, it is similar. It's a loss anyway. It's something you grieve,
Mhm.
something that you have difficulty overcoming,
Yeah.
and difficulty you have, with trying to live in the world when someone is missing from your world.
Right. And when you look around,
That's yes, and that's
yeah,
very
and their
difficult.
life goes on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So true. So true. And You lose somebody, but they're still there, and that is a hard one.
Mhm.
So we're coming to the end of the year, and I'm not going to ask for New Year's resolutions right now. We got a little bit of time, but
Good.
where do you see yourself in the next year come 2025?
Well, this is where I'm saying to you that I have my plans, like, doing the books and doing American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and launching a chapter of the Compassionate Friends. And now I've met a person on the beach, and now I'm doing a Cancer Alliance, um, donating to help them. And that helps anyone with cancer in Lee County and Collier County down here. It helps them financially. It will pay their mortgage. It will pay for house cleaning. It will pay their bills. It will pay for groceries. It
Well,
can, all these things. And I had no plan to do this, but did a walk for a friend of mine who owns a restaurant in Bonita on the beach. And it was for one of his employees who was going to do their last round of chemo. And we did a walk. Everybody did a walk for her. And I met this person who is like kind of like a CEO of this Cancer Alliance. And my other girlfriend told me about it, and we were walking on the beach. And once again, just like with the book, I put my head down. I'm like, nope, 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 not doing it. Listening, 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 listening. And here we are helping with the holiday event.
sometimes you don't have a choice.
No, it's all God's plan. It's all God's plan.
Exactly.
So I donated a lot of products, Mary Kay products for that.
Nice.
And then they just
Very
come in
nice.
and shop.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So do you
So
have plans to write another book?
I have no plan to write another book. And I will be honest with you. When you do have to go back, you guys understand this, when you have to go back to that dark place, even when you're helping other people and you're healing from it, you really have to talk yourself right back up.
Mhm.
And
But you don't have to necessarily write a book about suicide. I mean,
that's true.
there's a lot of influence that you have right now.
I
That
never
there's a lot of
thought of
knowledge that you've built
it.
up,
Yeah,
and
you know what I did? I went on to write children's books. And
Okay.
so if you're interested in that, that's something you might think about.
Okay. Yeah, I've
positivity.
never
Use
thought about
use your emotions, your guidance, everything you've learned, and influence the next generation. That's um,
it. You have no problem with that. Not at all.
yeah,
This generation needs it. They need
agreed.
love. They need
Ag-
compassion. They need connection.
Yeah,
Agreed.
they need God.
Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. Yeah.
Um, my series, it's called Pet Series Books, which
Right.
stands for Passionate Epic Tales, and it
Okay.
deals with emotions that all children feel. The first book is about how curiosity and encouragement use love to change the world. The second book is about overcoming fear. The third book is about hope and shame and overcoming
That's a good one.
bullies and
That's a good one.
all of these
Open.
stuff that um, can help kids in now, but dealing with their emotions. And a lot of it stemmed from me having to deal with my emotions when I was not able to, but then able to express it in a way that other people can understand. So don't just think that you need to write a book about negativity or suicide or
So
overcoming
glad you said that.
something difficult. Just
Yeah.
make it positive about you.
Yeah. I'm a very positive person.
I
Extremely.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, is there anything that you wish to share with our viewers about how they can get in contact with you, find out more about the books, and get educated on potential upcoming releases?
Stop
I
it.
see a book in you. I really do, Lauren. I see a
Oh,
book
God,
in you.
please. Um, well, I do have my Let It Be Healing page on
Ooh,
Facebook. I have about 800 members. And like I said, it's faith-based, but there's a lot of people who don't believe in God. And it's really good. I do a lot of affirmations. I do a lot of uplifting things. I probably post, I don't know, 2 to 3 times a day. And I've
nice.
tried to not do it anymore. And I've reached out to my members. It's my Let It Be family, and it's brothers and sisters. Um, and they say, no, 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 you cannot stop. I wake up and I need that every day. Nope. And
Nice.
so once again, I'm saying to God, really, God, really? I don't have enough on the plate, but you want me to keep doing this? So anyway, Let It Be.
Absolutely.
I welcome anybody who would like to check it out. Um,
Yeah,
Nice.
I definitely like to.
Susan, you would love it,
It
and so
sounds
would you.
great.
So would you. Like I said, I do post prayers. I will post pictures of people who are suffering with cancer or children or whatever, and we add them to the prayer list. But then we have humor, we have sunshine, we see sunshine, shine. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, it's uplifting. Yes. And then my Mary Kay business, I kind of was done with that when I left Chicago. And once again, God said, you think you were done, but you're really not. So now in my community, I have all these new clients. So I have a couple websites. My one website, my Mary Kay website is marykay.com /Ljurkas. And that's my personal website. But I also have a few Facebook um, pages or groups as well. So
Very nice.
yeah, yeah.
So when we post this to YouTube and our Facebook,
You
um,
can post my
send me over send me over all your contact information, and I will post it right to it, and
okay.
people can reach out to you
Yeah, I will do that.
for guidance or to join the group. I love the Let It Be. I'm a big Beatles fan,
Isn't
so
it? Oh, I've got a really quick story. Do we have another minute or no?
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, I've got another really, really cool story that I forgot about. Okay, so we did the Let It Be situation, right? You know the whole story. So now, when I had my Let It Be group in Chicago, I went to a friend's restaurant for Christmas, and I was like giving out little gifts. They were cups with little Bible verses on them, for my people. My friend who owned the restaurant in Frankfort, Illinois, she had a friend from Iowa who happened to be flying in that day. Young man, just met him, really nice guy. Um, Long story short, we're still friends, and that was over 13 years ago. Um, he's related to the Allman Brothers
Oh, nice.
music band.
Yeah,
And
I know the Almond Brothers.
yes, and so I'm in Chicago, and I get this package, and I open it up, and it's the LPs that we used to have, the big LPs.
Hmm.
I'll send you a picture of them. One says Let It Be, and it has a beautiful tree on it, and it's painted in colors. He has a friend who's an artist that does these. And the other one says, wait, are you ready for this, Stephen? Are you
Ready?
ready? Okay, it says, shine on until tomorrow, let it be.
Oh wow!
Can you stand it? Right?
Wow, that's
It,
great.
no,
Yeah, it incorporates everything.
wow! I want a picture of that. I
Yes,
want a
I will
picture of that
send
for
you.
sure. That is awesome. So is it album art or is it actually on the LP?
It's album art. But I
Cool.
didn't even know he was sending that to me. So I
That is
have it
so
in my
awesome.
Florida condo.
I love it, man. I
Isn't
can't
that
wait to see
cool?
the picture of that, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We shine has been like our motto for the
Yeah.
past almost 2 years
I was
now.
reading it, I'm like, oh my God, Stephen, wait till you hear. Yeah.
It incorporates everything that we're trying to put out in the world, and everything that connects us all. And um, for me, with Susan, how I explained it was, when you're in the dark, sometimes all you need is a little spark.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that spark will turn into a flame. Sometimes that flame will turn into a fire. And sometimes that fire will turn into the shine that gets you out of the dark for the rest of your life. And that's where we are, is with the shine. And that is so cool. I want to see Allman Brothers shine.
Right? I know. I know. This was fun.
I'm glad you had fun. You told me earlier that you were nervous. This is your
Very
first
nervous.
podcast, and
Yeah.
I told you, I got you. I
You
got you.
did
We'll take
well.
care of
And
you,
you too,
and we'll
Susan.
get your
We love
story
to
out.
hear the story.
Well, I do
Yeah,
want
we're
to
so
thank you.
glad that you came.
Thank
We're
you.
glad you conquered your fears. We're glad you came. And so I'm sure that many of our listeners are also going to be really glad that you showed up.
Good. Good.
Yes.
And I'm here for
Well,
them, believe me. Yeah.
definitely. And we'll get Genesis to watch it and shout out for you and do
Okay.
awesome. And I'm so glad that you came into her life. She is a wonderful and beautiful individual, and she brings so many people together. It's awesome.
It really is. Yeah. And she's grown so much in the last year. Wow. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
She's going to come to Florida for a book signing.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
Very
locate a
nice.
time.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to that as well, and she'll probably stream that out. So
Yeah.
something to look forward to. But
Okay.
I want to thank you for coming on to Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. You've been a fantastic guest. We're going to tie up the show now. Go ahead and hang out in the lobby for a few minutes, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Nice meeting both of you. Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you as well, Lauren.
Bye bye.
That was awesome. It was
Yeah,
so
that
awesome
was.
to hear the story of how she came to be, and tragedy, using that towards
Yeah,
strength, belief in God, just little
I think.
things that happen, like shine and sunshine, and I don't know, just
Mhm.
there are those moments when you really feel touched, like you're in the right place, you're in the right area, you're doing the right thing, and it was affirming to hear that and share that hour with Lauren. And
Yeah, I'm so
excuse me.
so glad you found her. She's a great guest for our first episode of season 2.
Yes, agreed, absolutely agreed. Well, it's good to be back. It is absolutely good to
Yes,
be back. It feels good to be
yes,
back
it
in the
is.
studio. It feels good to be able talking again. It feels good to share out and find new people and bring in new listeners. And man,
Yeah, it
it's gonna
really
be a
does.
gonna be a good
It's
season. Gonna
great.
be a good season. I agree.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure we're gonna have some more good guests. There are so many out there that we haven't even begun to tap into the number of wonderful guests that I'm sure God has lined up for the podcast this year.
Yeah, we just needed to be back in that position and back in the ready to go
Mhm.
for it, and
Yep.
you know, create the new studio environment. And we're gonna start releasing some new stuff this year. And I look
Hmm.
forward to this year with you, Susan.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be a good one.
I agree. I agree. Well, thank you to Lauren for coming on to Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement. Thank you to all our viewers out there for spending your Sunday evening with us. We look forward to seeing you guys next week with a new guest. And it is Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving. So
Yeah, enjoy.
let's end with what are you thankful for this year?
I am, I'm really, really grateful that God has continued to introduce me to people that I can encourage, but that also encourage me. I mean, the support that I have gotten from the people that I meet just keeps me going. It just, it blesses me so much, and I'm so appreciative for all my friends, and I'm grateful to God for bringing them into my life, including you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, I'm thankful that I have grown past so much darkness that the shine has really started to come through, and we're moving into that next stage of where we can find true happiness. I'm thankful for the people that I've met. I'm thankful for the lives that we've touched. I'm thankful for building what we've built, and
Mhm,
I cannot wait. We've built our foundation, and I cannot wait to see what we build together.
mhm. Yes, it's going to be good.
I agree. I agree. Well, thank you all for spending your Sunday evening with us. Have a very happy, safe, and wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see you guys all next Sunday. Have a great week.